MzeroA, show of hands, who had or has a fear of stalling? We're going to overcome that in today's video.
Your airspeed's alive, your indicators are showing green. I'm in maintain 8,000. 65 rotate. She's flying.
MzeroA Nation, day 14. Hey, check in below. Who is 14 of 14? And can you step in my honesty corner for a second? Who had or has a fear of stalling? I am in the comments right now, like hand raised emoji right now is what I'm actually doing, because I had such a fear of stalling. Now, a lot of it might have been because I learned to fly in a Cherokee 140, which has what's known as the Hershey bar wing. And let me tell you something, when that Hershey bar wing was done flying, she was done flying, and thus the stall would proceed from there. Motion sickness didn't help early on in my flight train, all those little factors. And then a very wise instructor said something profound to me. We practice stalls to practice recoveries, not to practice how to get into a stall. You see, I was thinking about it all backwards. I was trying to get everything just so perfect and trying to give my instructor or that future check ride examiner the perfect stall. I was so focused on how I was stalling the airplane and not focused on what we're actually practicing was the recovery. Now, I certainly want your stalls to be accurate. I want them to be realistic. For example, in a power-on stall, you can't just go from cruise flight and full power and rip that nose back. You're going to end up climbing like this before you actually end up stalling. I want you to slow it down at power-on stall and make it realistic. Power-off stall, simulating we're coming into land, then bringing that nose back. And I want you to practice something else in there while you're making your stalls realistic. Who's ever done turning stalls? Who's never done a turning stall before? My very first turning stall, would you believe it, was on my private pilot check ride. Go look through the ACS right now for private pilot. You'll see that it's fair game to add a bank angle to any of your stalls out there as well. If you have a check ride coming up and you've never done a turning stall before, I don't want you to be in my shoes. I want you to have practiced them before. Thankfully, I had a very forgiving DPE and was able to work and talk my way through it and pass my private pilot check ride first time, but it wasn't an easy process for a 17-year-old kid back then. I'm gonna slow us down to our rotation speed because I want to make this as realistic as possible. So I'm passing through 75 right now. I am applying a little bit of back pressure. I have to. It's a little strong, a little heavy, but I've got that. And I could use trim right now to help me, but it's not. I'm going to be taking it right back out again here in a second. Okay, I rotate about 65, so there's carb heat, and I'm going to go full power. And you don't have to go full power to start. You could baby your way into this with like, 2,000 RPMs. All right, I'm taking off, and all of a sudden ATC says 23 Mike Zulu, make an immediate right turn for traffic. So I'm pitching up. I'm really not paying attention. I'm making a right-hand turn, up. And all of a sudden, push forward, opposite pedal, break the stall, and you're basically on the brink of a spin is why that can be so intimidating a little bit. You felt it break, you saw the nose coming down, and I had to actually push more forward to initiate that recovery. And I just stepped opposite my turn. Let's do another one in the opposite direction here. Let me get myself back to cruise first. All right, carb heat. Bring just some power on back. Let me tell you what I'm bringing it back to. About 1700 RPMs, like a run-up RPM. For me, I'm getting stronger and stronger. I don't want to lose altitude, right? I can't be losing altitude right now. I'm holding my north heading. Here comes 65, carb heat comes in. Full power, you don't have to do full power right off the bat. It makes you nervous. We're climbing out ATC, 23 Mike Zulu, immediate left-hand turn. Okay, we're going to the left, up. Here it comes. It wants to break right, push forward, a little bit of left pedal, and get this airplane flying again here. A fear of stalling. You see, when you think about it, when we practice stalls to practice recoveries, it gives it a different perspective on things. Stalls are a leading causal factor in aviation accidents. It'll actually be the topic of tomorrow's video as well. Let me just ask you some questions, because often you'll find questions are the answers. When's the last time you practiced stalls? And if it was 24 calendar months ago on your flight review, you need to get out there and practice stalls. This brings up another question I get often asked. Jason, what do you think about practicing stalls when I'm a student pilot on a solo? I'm never crazy about that. I want you to be with an instructor practicing stalls. I know some instructors, you're braver than I ever was, that send their students out to the practice area. Hey, go do steep turns, slow flight, and stalls. When I was a student pilot, I'm like, oh yeah, I did stalls, don't you worry. I was too scared to do stalls on my own. I never did them solo. Maybe that's my own fear, right? Maybe I need to overcome that fear as well. But when you make your stalls realistic, but still realize that you're practicing stalls to practice the recovery. And let me take that phrase even a step further. I'm practicing stalls to practice the recognition of a stall. Because you know that by the time the stall warning horn comes on, I'd be willing to bet you probably had 2 or 3 other indicators that that stall was coming. Sloppy controls, buffeting, something along those lines to lead you to know that there's a stall coming up, even before the warning horn actually sounds. When's the last time you practiced stalls? And could you use to get out there and just practice them a few more times? Remember, if you have a fear of stalls like I did, especially for power on stalls, nowhere does it say, Jason, you have to start at full power to practice that. You know what my instructor did? Because she saw I had such a fear of stalls. She said, let's go do it at 1900 RPMs. And we did it, and it wasn't much of a break. Let's do 2100 now. And we worked our way up to full power is what we actually did for those power on stalls. And you can do the same. Now you're eventually gonna have to get them to full power, but you can work your way up to it as well. Now I know there's some of you crazy ones out there who said, Jason, I never had a fear of stalling. I love stalls. You are the 1% of 1%. And we applaud you for that. Now we love everybody in the MzeroA Nation. Hey, thanks for being such a blessing. Can't wait to read your stall stories below, your practice stall stories, I hope. Don't miss tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to take what we just learned here today and make it look like we just scratched the surface, because we did. Tomorrow we're going to take it deep, and we're going to talk about 3 stalls that unfortunately led to fatalities. I hate talking about aviation accidents that lead to fatalities, but I also believe we'd be doing these pilots a disservice if we didn't learn from the mistakes. Tomorrow we're going to look at 3 very different stalls that led to a fatality. So stay tuned for tomorrow. In the meantime, check in below 14 for 14. If not, go catch up. There's a playlist on YouTube and Facebook. Have a blessed, amazing, outstanding rest of your day. And most importantly, remember that a good pilot is always learning. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you. Jason again. Hey, listen, if you think these videos are amazing, and I hope you're loving the 31-Day Safer Pilot Challenge, but if you think the free videos we put out here on YouTube are amazing, wait until you see inside of our online ground school. MzeroA has you covered for private, instrument, commercial, and your fundamentals of instructing, exams, written tests, check rides, and making you that safe real-world pilot. Take a 2-week free trial of it. No strings attached, no credit card needed at MzeroAtrial.com. I look forward to seeing you in there, seeing you on the member-only webinars, which we do each week, and seeing you just excelling in 2022 in your aviation journey.